This podcast is brought to you by the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault, an organization committed to providing leadership, vision, and resources to those who work to eradicate sexual violence in our communities.
Green Dot's a prevention strategy that is geared around mobilizing bystanders to be actively and visibly intolerant of violence. So reframing individual safety as a community responsibility.
One of the key, I think the two key components, number one is it feels so overwhelming when you talk about, we're going to reduce violence. It's like, yeah, that feels huge. So one of the key pieces is this idea of Green Dot is one teeny tiny thing. So training people, really reconceptualizing this issue as something that anyone could be a part of, like anyone could do a teeny tiny thing. The second big piece is around really addressing almost the brand of violence against women, this idea of why aren't people already doing this? Like why doesn't everyone see themselves in this issue, given that almost everyone knows someone or has themselves been a victim, like almost everyone could trace a connection, so why isn't everyone on board? And that's a question we are trying to answer with Green Dot, answer that question and then build solutions around it. Specifically why I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, is to reduce these kinds of violence. And this conference, we're specifically focused on our college campuses. So we're doing kind of a sub-workshop of 4 days to really teach people a hands-on intensive kind of how to take it back to their campus and launch. In order for a bystander strategy to work, people have to be interested in coming. Like we have to get them to show up and care about violence anyway. And so we spend lots of time, like 2 days of a 4-day training is on really understanding what are the obstacles.
Right, and I think that so the first piece of that is then how are you really going to get access to the folks who, if they could just spend enough time hearing what you have to say, could do something really important with it. And then I really think the piece of within the actual training program curriculum, moving not just from here are the kinds of things you might want to respond to, and here's a behavior you can do, but really spending time on why it's so hard, why all of us are unable to do the things that we would like to do in terms of being proactive bystanders, and then really realistic, solution-driven, skills-based, figuring out how to move people to action.
I think the piece that we have been missing is having an honest, safe conversation about why is it that even good people like us, like I still don't always step up and do the right thing. So if we can open up that conversation and say, why is it hard, without saying you're a bad person, without saying you're going to be judged because you don't always do the right thing. Why is it hard? Then, instead of having these kind of idealized, go out there and confront your friend and say, you can't do this, instead you can have conversations about what would you realistically do? Like, if you're afraid to lose face in front of your friends, if you're really shy, just having a generic list of here are things you could do. Instead we can go, why would it be hard, and what can you imagine realistically doing that would contribute to this? And that's been key. The other thing is the proactive piece. A lot of the bystanders programs really focus exclusively on, let's take a look at a high-risk situation that's developing in the moment. And we really step back to kind of simultaneously, how could we train people to be doing green dots, to be doing behaviors that would really begin to shift the norms of their community, so those red dots, those violent situations never arise to begin with. So how could we shift the social norms? And the two that we're really working on, number one is, so bystanders become intolerant of violence, like I won't accept it among me and my friends. And the second is we want to really establish the norm as everyone's expected to do their part. So there's kind of that other piece, in addition to the reactive bystander, there's the proactive bystander.
And I think, and going back to this notion, part of why Green Dot I think is so accessible to people is because it's manageable. So when we come back to all the proactive things you can do, we're just talking about taking your little piece of the world that you're already part of, the life you're already living, how do you carry this out and live it? And seeing how my Green Dot fits on the map with all the other green dots that are happening sort of creates.
For example, it might go something like this. Dr. Sayre is wearing a Green Dot pin. So let's say she's walking through Las Vegas, Nevada, in a casino, drinking and smoking, right? And she's just doing her own thing in her own life. And then I might come up to her as a total stranger and go, hey, lady at the casino, what is that Green Dot pin? And she would say,
my Green Dot pin is a marker of the fact that, gosh, in my line of sight, I don't tolerate violence.
Very nice. There was a 30-second thing that very well done. Sorry I put you on the spot.
No problem.
She was like, "Where's my script?" But literally, that idea, the idea of, you know, you wear a pin, you put something on your Facebook page, you have a conversation with a friend of yours or a partner or a kid. It's 30 seconds. It's not a big, huge deal. Oh, if I want to get involved in violence prevention, I have to do this big, huge deal. It can be these teeny, tiny moments. That's how norms are set, you know?
The other piece of it, which I really like, is I think when we think about being bystanders, we think about this type of violence, we think about the most imminent, intense, gosh, someone's really in the moment about to get hurt. One of the things that Green Dot does in a really positive way is move us as early in the sequence as possible. So we're really looking at, gosh, here are some observable behaviors that could be an indication that something bad could happen if these play out. And I'm just going to check in now before it turns into such a big deal. So it sort of diffuses both some of the barriers to checking in as a bystander, and it also makes it less likely. We have many more opportunities in the sort of pattern before something really bad is going to happen, and that just brings me a lot of hope.
Oh yeah, that's one thing we have is a lot of hope. Which is funny because at least 7 times within the training I say, if you leave with one thing, this is what I want it to be. And I do that about 7 times. But what it really is, and I don't mean this in the cheesy way, but it is hope. It is this notion of, we can be holding the solution in our hand, but if we don't believe it, we will not inspire people to take it on. We will not get the community around us. There's kind of a resignation about this issue. There is kind of a sense of, whether it's spoken or not, there's this kind of sense of, this is inevitable. It's a tough world we live in. This just happens, and we've got to make sure we have good services for people that are victims. That's settled in, I think, as a culture into us. And those of us that are leading this work have to peel back kind of those layers of fatigue and tired, and we've seen victim after victim, and it's hard to even imagine a different world. We've got to peel that stuff away, and we've got to step in and hold in our mind's eye a vision, a crystallized vision of this can happen. These numbers can come down, and it can happen as a direct result of my work. Because if we can hold on to that, like if we can truly believe that, folks will follow us. People don't act if they don't believe what they're doing will make a difference. And so we've got to paint this picture that what you do will make a difference. We can bring the numbers down. One of my favorite things to say when people want to kind of dismiss this notion of hope is just kind of this fluffy thing. You know, here's the pep talk, but it's not really related to violence prevention. And I really bring back to all of the great social movements, all of the great significant changes have happened when folks have used words like dreaming and hope. And my favorite reference is this notion that when Martin Luther King was standing up there at the great mall in Washington, D.C., he didn't say, I've got a great body of research. He said, I have a dream. And when he talked about that dream, he inspired a nation. We have to do the same thing.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault. For more information about CALCASA's mission, or to show your support, please visit our website, calcasa.org. That's CALCASA.org. If you'd like to watch or listen to other presentations like this one, you can subscribe to our podcast feed. Visit www.calcasa.org/feed/podcast.